Live.
I just got a message that we are live.
Hello.
Man, this is exciting. 2 people are watching already. 5. That's good.
And we have a chat.
Good. All right. Is everybody ready?
Are you ready to rumble?
Man, it has been a while since we had such a big show. Okay.
Dum.
Boom, boom, boom.
Whoa.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Home Assistant 2021 August release party. Is it release party? Doesn't matter. It's a really exciting release. It's actually been one that has been in the making for over 6 months. We have been starting on parts of it 6 months ago. We've done piecemeal. It has been released. The things that we're building on top of today, and I think a lot of times people were like, "Why are they introducing this? This has no context." But now I hope it all makes sense. Before we get started today, a big with like all the big things that we have announced, let's just first really quickly introduce the crew of today. So my name is Paulus. I'm the founder of Home Assistant, and yeah, I work on whatever really comes down the pipeline. Frank.
Hi, I'm Frank. Well, you probably know me at this point the most for writing release notes, probably. Doing all kinds of stuff at Home Assistant, like anything that's in my path, except for front-end stuff, which the fellow next to me probably does more.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bram. And I mostly work on the front end. Because Frank doesn't.
So, probably me. Next up. So, if you read the blog post or if you have been following Naboka's or Home Assistant on Twitter, maybe you've seen my name pop up. My name is Matthias, pronounced in Dutch Matthias. And I'm a UX designer. So, I make designs for Bram and all kind of and Paulus. Yeah.
I think we'll get into more detail about what you're up to later, Matthias.
Cool.
Daniel?
Yes, my name is Daniel. Been using and working on Home Assistant for more than 5 years, I think, but not. This is my first release party I'm part of. Been lately working on the energy management part with the rest of the team here.
Cool. Klaas?
My name is Klaas, and I'm the intern who has been working on energy for the past 6 months.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so I guess you kind of heard of part of the introductions already. The big new feature we've been introducing today is energy management. And with energy management, we're actually trying to bring something that people were already using Home Assistant for, but making sure that it works super well out of the box and that anyone can actually use it. So obviously Home Assistant has known what's going on in your house for a while. Like you could plug in inverters and your electricity meters and these kind of things. But basically that's where it used to stop. And then people themselves had to like dig into Lovelace, dig into their database storage, make sure you store long-term data, create their own graphs. And everybody was like reinventing the wheel. And so we came together and we were like, we're gonna like, just build in this wheel. So we want to make sure that if a user has the right hardware, and I mean, we support whatever hardware or service actually gives us the data, we wanted to make it super easy to plug that into Home Assistant and then let Home Assistant do all the work for you to get insight into your energy usage. And so that's what we shipped today. And we actually didn't stop there because as part of like Klaas's research, and Klaas has been doing research into energy over the last 6 months, we realized that there was also pieces missing. So we were actually like, it's not easy to find hardware, for example, if you live in the Netherlands, that reads out, they have a standardized port, the P1 port, that speaks the DSMR protocol, we realized this is not easy to get into Home Assistant. Like people had to like build their own hardware, solder things, flash, and we were like, how can we make this easier? So we actually work with Marcel Zuidwijk, who's also in the chat around here on YouTube, to actually design a product called Slimmemeter. It's a product you actually plug into your electricity meter. If you have a modern one in the Netherlands, it will self-power and it will push all the data to Home Assistant. Then we also introduced, and I'm just doing a quick summary. We can go into more detail of all the stuff later. But we introduced a lot, so I just want to do the summary first. We also introduced a second product that is based on the ESPHome pulse meter. So we found that a lot of older electricity meters, they actually have an activity LED that pulses whenever you use a chunk of energy. And we can use that information to keep track of your consumption and feed that into Home Assistant. And that's kind of the summary. So I think let's dive in. And I think maybe Klaas, you want to talk a bit about like, what have you been doing in the last 6 months that led up to this point?
Well, it's a lot. Yeah, we did research in existing devices, what's on the market, which can measure energy, that kind of stuff. We did user needs research to see where the needs are and what has priority to the people. And finally, designing dashboards and realize them. That's a short summary of it.
Right, and I think you discovered that we had like 2 different types of users interested in energy, right?
Yes, we have the people with solar panels and without solar panels. And the people without solar panels are want more details about which devices are consuming your fridge or a washing machine, that kind of stuff. And the people with solar panels are more focused on the totals of the day. So how much, how you say that? How many cost of the day, the yield of the day, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, how long it will take to get them back.
Exactly.
You know, we should actually just include a calculator where you just put in the initial price of your solar panels, and we just can like show you a counter like 5 more years.
That kind of hurts maybe even. Like especially in the Netherlands, like right today was a good day, but yesterday
at all.
cloudy. Like not a good day yesterday.
It's been such an interesting like 6 months, because anything I thought I knew about electricity just doesn't hold up, even if you just like cross a single border, let alone that we try to build something for everybody. I think the most interesting surprise that I got was that this was an Italian user, and he said if he produces solar energy and he consumes it himself, then he gets paid for that. And it's like, oh, okay, then that's something we also have to support. So yeah, if you see today that our cost management calculation is pretty basic, it's because we're still working on it. Right now, we've really, we did the bare minimum. I know that a lot of people want to see their full cost, what they can expect from their utility bill, but it's pretty tricky because there's like tax credits, there are subsidies, there is like dynamic pricing, and all that stuff. So we're still working on all that stuff. That's coming. Yeah, Frank, do you want to show your dashboard and kind of walk us through it?
Yeah, sure. I got my dashboard up. We can pull it up because I think most stuff configured. So yeah, this is mine. Maybe I should zoom in a little. Does it work? Yeah, it does. So instead of showing a demo, this is the actual energy dashboard in Home Assistant 2021.8 we introduced and released today. And I've been using it now for about like a week seriously. As soon as the beta started, I started configuring everything like as it's supposed to be. So I got some actual data from today, right? I have configured my tone integration, which is connected to my power meter, which provides my actual meter values of my different tariffs. And I have a solar edge system for my solar panels, which provides the data for how much energy I've produced on my rooftop. I also have set up CO2 signal. That's something that shows in the dashboard how much fossil, like how do you say that? Like renewable energy?
No, not necessarily renewable.
Right?
That's another
carbon,
thing,
whatever. What's it called again? I do this for like you can do this.
No carbon emission energy.
Right, that's the word I was looking for. And what else do we see here? Oh, I got the forecast solar integration that was introduced last release, actually, which was originally created by Klaus as well. That predicts my forecast for my energy usage. So if we showed it, I'm going to show this all. So this is just a little bit like an introduction. So here it shows me, the first graph shows me a little graph of how I've gained energy and how I've used energy. So going back to the grid and what I consumed from the grid, or no, what I produced and what I consumed, probably. Am I saying this right, Bram?
The top part is what you consumed.
Yeah, consumed versus produced.
The purple ones is what you return to the grid.
Yeah. And it shows this as a distribution graph on the top right as well, which has this nice little like balls that flow. I really like that detail. I cannot get enough of the little animation though.
It actually also the circle around the house also animates when you refresh.
Yeah, and also the little balls actually go faster if there's going more towards the one or the other, right?
Yeah, the speed is based on how percentage-wise how much flows to where.
Yeah.
So
that's
what we
nice.
tried, I mean, the top left and the top right card show kind of the same data, but what we've tried to achieve here is that the energy distribution card really shows you in one glance how is today going. Like it doesn't break it down per hour, but just really how much energy did I use from the grid, how much did I bring back, solar panels, and then you can also see your home's consumption, the circle around the home. It's a breakdown. How much was actually consumed from solar, how much was from the grid, and how much was green power that we got from the grid.
Yeah.
While energy usage is really a breakdown if you want to dig in, like, hey, which hour could have been better, for example.
Yep. And today I returned like pretty much to the grid, so that's kind of nice, right? So for me, that's earning money today, actually.
That's the net he returned to the grid. So he returned 13.8 kilowatt hours.
Yep.
But he also took 8, so his net return was 5.8.
Yeah, this card, we've heard that there's some confusion about it, so we're trying to improve the design.
Yeah, I've different kind of mockups already in Figma, so we'll test them out.
So then we have my solar production, which the bars actually show the actual production of today. I said it was a good day today, but the little dotted line is actually the forecast it had for today. And well, it was a better day than I expected. So today would have been a bit cloudy, but we had sun this morning. So it was actually, the forecast was a bit off. But as you can see in the end of the day, it actually, well, here it matched and here it matched pretty much. So it's kind of nice to see what it would do. And what I really like about this dashboard is you can go to the date. So I can go back to yesterday, or for the forecast, I can actually go into tomorrow. I can already see what it will probably going to be tomorrow, August 5. That's kind of nice touch, I think.
Yeah, one of the ideas behind the forecast and why it's like important to have is that we want to, once we have forecast and once we want to introduce some machine learning into seeing that we can also predict your consumption. So once we have those two inside the system, we should be able to, for example, say, hey, based on the forecast, you're going to produce so much energy more than you're normally consuming. So you're going to have this extra energy in the next few hours. Do you maybe want to redirect this energy somewhere else? Maybe you want to get a notification, plug in your car because this is the time to charge your car. Or maybe you have a battery at home and you'd be like, hey, let's charge this battery right now, or heat up water, these kind of things.
Yep. And if I go down further down this page, you can actually see the sources that I have. So I have my Solar Edge, and this is the breakdown, right? And it shows me how much it cost me, or how much I earned, and the total of the day, which is not a net total, by the way, but that's Netherlands specific, I guess. And if we go down,
Are those costs correct? You got very little money for your return.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah?
Yeah, but actually it doesn't make sense, right? Because like for me, it's a one-on-one. Like what I deliver today, I can take back today as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's
so
something.
I entered the same price as I pay for my...
Right. But what I produce more, actually.
Yeah, but I never produce more. That's
Well, I do, and that's a bit odd, right? This is one of the edge cases I think Paul has talked about. Like, there are so many edge cases in all this energy calculations in so many different parts and different energy providers even. Well, this is probably the best for me. Setting it up for you, I guess, if you never produce more, then it makes sense to use the same price. Yeah, I agree. Additionally, I've configured a bunch of devices I have around my home, giving me some insight into what those devices consume, right? So I added the dryer in the garage, for example, and that scared me a little bit today because that thing actually uses a lot. So that thing is like the top consumer in my home today because we did laundry. And something else is my home lab server here, which is the server that runs Home Assistant and on which I do my development, which is actually consuming pretty much. So I might actually put the Home Assistant Blue to use. That would probably be better for my case. So this is the glance of the dashboard, right? You can track individual devices and your solar panels and your forecasting, but also see how you're consuming and what the energy is like comes from and what it is. So I think that's really cool to see.
But we actually haven't touched yet upon like the two bottom cards on the right.
Right.
So the self-consumed solar energy is kind of it shows how much of your production you have used yourself. So it is similar to like, if the return to grid would be like the more you return to grid, the less you're consuming from your own energy. And it means that if you are frequently not using all your energy, it's again an indicator that you might want to store some energy that you are overproducing. So again, an electric car or whatever, or just more lights during the day. But yeah, and then the last one, the non-fossil fuel energy consumed. So we have this integration with CO2 Signal, and CO2 Signal is actually part of electricitymap.org, and it's a really cool website. Actually,
I can click on it.
Oh yeah, but it opens in a new tab, so you won't.
Okay, I can switch it.
No, I have a screen ready, Frank.
Okay.
I will
flip it.
Boom. And then so electricity map is not so useful for. I'm gonna switch to Europe because there's more data. And so what is really cool about electricity map is that this is an open source project that keeps track of, for every electricity grid in every country, and they can also subdivide if necessary. They keep track how much percentage of the electricity currently in the grid is based out of what sources. So for example, if we take Germany right now, we can see that there's a lot of coal happening right now, and so only 30% is renewable. There's some natural gas going, and then if you actually scroll down, you can see the origins of the electricity. So during the day there's a lot more solar, but there's a big foundation of just constantly having coal burning. And then if you see there's these small arrows on the map, these arrows, they show you which electricity is being exported from one country to the other, and that's actually taking into consideration. So let's say that if a country imports a lot from Poland, which has not too many renewables, then it actually shows up as like, it reflects poorly on the country that is importing the electricity based on coal. And so this data we actually include in Home Assistant. And when you include it into Home Assistant, we can then calculate how much of the grid electricity you have been using was low carbon versus high carbon. And then we put that in the graph. So if we go back to Frank's screen, you can see, Frank, could you scroll down a little bit?
Yep.
So the non-fossil energy consumed, and in this case, we actually take his solar power energy that he consumed into consideration. So obviously his solar power is non-fossil energy, and then we combine that with the electricity he got from the grid, break it down by if it was non-fossil fuel or fossil fuel powered energy, and that's this percentage. So this percentage is not something you can influence yourself very much. I mean, you can always make sure you you get more solar panels or you use less energy, but this is also a lot about just the grid around you. So because it's easy to think that, like, because you only use so much from the energy from the grid, that, oh, I'm actually very like environment friendly. But if you live in a place that has still burns a lot of coal to actually provide you the grid energy, that the impact is not as much as you might think. So we really want to have this card to kind of reflect that and just make people aware. So,
Right. So
oh yeah,
I think it's how do you set this up, right?
oh yeah, let's go for that.
Let's go for that, right? So if I go to my settings here, there's a new thing here that's energy. And this is all the configuration that is done. So I can configure my electricity grid, my solar panels, and the individual devices, which a lot of people asked about. I will answer that in a second, by the way. So let's first go here. I can add multiple devices that are contributing to my grid and taking from the grid. I've seen a couple of people struggling with that today, not thinking about being able to add more than one sensor. But I have two sensors, one sensor for my feed on tariff 1 and one sensor for my feed in on tariff 2. I have two tariffs, a high and a low one for the weekends and one for the day, kind of type of tariff sensors. And I add them both for consumption and for return to the grid. Then below we have the little, maybe I should click on one, by the way. I can click on these. And if I add one of those sensors, I can actually say like what the price is. So this is my current price for the high tariff one. If you have a more advanced like tariff construction that changes on different parts of the day or based on how much you have produced or consumed already this month or those kind of types of things, you could create your own template sensor that provides the price, and then you can select it here as well and just point to that template sensor that provides that price. So you can do more.
This will actually be a nice time to introduce the place where Daniel works. Daniel, Daniel works in an energy provider that is active in, I'm totally gonna butcher this, Norway and Sweden, I think.
Norway, Sweden, and Germany today.
Okay, yeah. You're a data scientist at this energy provider. But what I think is really cool actually about the way the energy provider is called Tibber. But can you tell me how it works? Because the way the energy provider works, I think, is really cool.
Yeah, like at least in the Scandinavian, most energy companies earn more money if the customer uses more energy. Tibber has a monthly fee of €4 and earns the same if you use a lot of energy or if you use little energy. So we have the same intent. Like we want to help our customers to reduce the energy, and we don't earn any more money if the customer uses more energy. That's kind of the background, and then we'll try to help the customer to with like showing them what they're using energy on, and try to help them and motivate them to reduce the energy.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So Tibber offers market price to their customers. So actually, you can set up the Tibber integration in Home Assistant. And one of the options we see on the screen here is use an entity with the current price. And so Home Assistant can actually use the real-time prices that we get from Tibber, and so we can keep track of your total cost per tariff as that happens. And so, yeah, like Daniel said, changing the incentive from selling more electricity so we can make more money to give us a monthly fee and we help you like save energy. I think that's a great approach, and I wish we would see that more across the world.
Yeah, we're starting up in the Netherlands this autumn, so so
Nice. Okay, Frank, floor is yours.
All right. So I believe even for Tibber, it provides a sensor with this data, right? It provides the current price, right? So if you have
both the current price and also the total cost calculated. Yeah.
So if you have Tibber and you have configured, you could select in here the price to use. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to put it in or calculate it. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. Let me fix that right here. So those are the consumptions and return to grid sensors you can provide. Then we have the CO2 signal. I believe you have to sign up for it. Yeah, you have to sign up for the newsletter, and then you will get mail an API key that you can use to set this up. So
it's free.
It's free, yeah, and it's really nice. Well, the same. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just saw a question. Somebody said, well, I actually pay my energy provider to give me green energy. In that case, don't set up this entity, because then you don't need it. You already know it's all green.
Solar panels is pretty much the same as grid electricity, but uses a different sensor, of course. And you're able to set up the forecasting integration, which currently is forecast.solar, which is introduced in last release, which I've set up. So that's kind of nice to add. Really gives you an idea where it's going today.
Okay, click on Add Forecast. Klaas, you want to explain what we see on the screen?
Yeah, well, you can give a name for the integration for the device. Yeah, it's based on your GPS or your location from the Home Assistant. And then we have the declination. It's the
how much it's skewed, right?
Yeah. And the azimuth, it's based on the sun position, so far I know. And then
the direction your solar panels are pointing in.
Yeah. And then the total power of how many watts your solar panels can produce altogether.
Yeah, which is around 5,000 in my case, something-ish.
And so this API, this is also a third-party service. This API is free to get like hourly forecasts for 2 days, but you can actually sign up for an API key. I think the next tier starts at 20 euros a year, and then you will get more granular information. I think there's a higher tier to get even more granular forecasts. So it's really cool because, of course, the more granular your forecast is, the better in the future we will be able to predict how much solar power energy you're actually gonna produce extra than that you're gonna consume. And of course, this is the dotted line that you saw earlier in the graph when Frank was showing his panel.
Yeah, and if you have solar panels on multiple places in your home, like one on the east roof and one on the west roof, you can add multiple forecasts for each cluster of solar panels, and it will add them up.
Yeah, you can actually, just like with the grid, like you add multiple sensors. I've seen a question today too. Indeed, I got 2 like solar panel systems. You can add them like separately, so that's not a problem at all. You can add multiple if you want to.
Yeah, you can add. Yeah, if you have multiple inverters, you can add those separately, or you can add multiple forecasts to one entity.
Yeah, we do only support one electricity grid right now, but inside the grid, you can break it down in different tariffs. I saw a question earlier about batteries. They're on the list. So we really, I mean, we've shipped so much today already that like this just could not fit in anymore. But it's definitely on our radar, and we already have. We're in touch with a couple of people that have batteries that can help us test it. So that's going to be really cool. And well, it's going to mess up all our graphs. So we have to rethink every graph, how like batteries fit in, if that's like. But yeah, we're going to make it happen. So that's going to come. I mean, maybe next release, maybe the release after. I mean, it's something, energy management's on our radar. So it's constantly something that we're going to keep improving. And, we've seen a good reception from the community. Even before we released it, we had a focus group with Daniel and some other energy enthusiasts. And there's just so much knowledge in our community that I think we'll be able to add cool stuff, iterate, and just, build some badass energy management that anyone can use.
I'm seeing a lot of people asking, can we add different currencies than US dollars or euro? Yes, actually it's a setting. So if you go to your Home Assistant configuration, to general settings, that's where you configure the name of Home Assistant and the latitude, longitude, location. There's now currency. So you can put in your base currency you like to use over there. In my case, that's euro. But if you like US dollar or, I don't know, British pounds or whatever you're using, that's possible. Definitely. And last in the screen, by the way, is the devices, the individual devices I track and monitor. So a lot of people have been asking what I use for this. In my case, it's all ESPHome based. So I use flashed plugs with ESPHome. But you can use like Z-Wave ones or Zigbee ones as well. And there are a lot of integrations that already support this.
Shelly has some really nice plugs.
Sorry?
Shelly?
Shelly?
Has some really nice plugs, I think.
Yeah, the Shelly plug should work well as well.
Well, there's a tiny bug in the Shelly plug integration right now.
In general, Shelly works well. Well, you can still flash.
The nice thing with the Shelly stuff is that there's a very active Home Assistant developer team that's working on the Shelly integration, and they do an amazing job. And they are actually supported directly by the Shelly firmware engineers. So if there's bugs, we can escalate it and like quickly get fixes from Shelly too. So anyway, they are aware, and the Shelly energy meter works great. The Shelly plugs and relays, little bug.
All right, I think that's it for like the main overview of the new dashboard that it brings, right?
Right. And then if people want to try out this dashboard, kind of like they don't have the hardware yet, then they can always check out the Home Assistant demo, which you can find on this website. I mean, you can also just go to homeassistant.io and click on View Demo. And then we actually added the energy dashboard there, so you will be able to just play with it. It has fake data, obviously, but it's data that is very similar to how Bram's home looks. And the demo is actually pretty slick in that it will look at where you live, and it will actually show the energy data based on that. So the time will just stop exactly at where you are right now. Just for the show. This is the demo. And actually, if you use the default generation of the Lovelace dashboard, and you have set up energy, it will now also configure energy for you to be on your dashboard. You'll see just your distribution, so that's the one you can look at a quick glance. And then if you click on Go to Energy Dashboard, that's of course, you go to your energy dashboard. And as you can see, for me, it's 12:30. And so you can see that up till 12, we have the data. And after that, it's not yet. And it's kind of cool. This is, of course, all fake data. But it's it looks really good. And we actually use this also for our development. So when we are testing out new cards and stuff, it's really easy to just quickly throw in a demo instead of having to gather fake data at your own development instance, for example. So yeah, it's really nice. So yeah, if you wanna try it out, this is again on demo.homeassistant.io. Share this with your friends so they can also see it, get excited. So yeah, this is part one of our energy management feature, because like I said in the beginning, we realized, or I have to say, this was part of mainly classes research, but we realized that there is a lot of places where it's difficult to actually get your energy data inside Home Assistant. In the United States, it's in a bunch of places it's fairly easy because there's a enterprise electricity meter Zigbee standard where you can buy a device, send the information of the device, like the serial number, to your electricity provider, and it will synchronize somehow the Zigbee information, and then that device in your home can actually read out your electricity meter. But we, and this was definitely with a lot of help from Daniel, because he's familiar with a lot of energy, how different countries do energy. There's a lot of different standards, and how these all things work. So I guess, Klaas, you want to talk about one of the two hardware projects?
The Home Assistant Glow. It is very useful for those who have a meter where the serial port is missing. And that was also the case in my own studio. So we made something for it. It calculates its data based on the pulse LED. Every meter has its own impulses versus kilowatt rate. Based on that, it makes the calculations. It's quite easy to build, and you could put it in a printed case. And all the code is on GitHub.
Let me see. Let me just quickly. Yeah, so all the code is open source. So the way it works is that a lot of electricity meters for a long time, so the chances are high that your electricity meter, if you have an older one, also does this, is that to indicate how much is being used, they will flash an LED or like some light on the meter for a certain chunk of usage. So sometimes they say like they will flash 1,000 times per kilowatt hour, for example. So what is so in ESPHome, there's now the pulse meter component. And what this component does is that it will keep track of how often this LED flashes. And based on that, it knows how fast you're consuming energy. And so it can also calculate how much energy you're consuming. And then it can push that information to Home Assistant. So what Klaas did is that he made we have an ESPHome configuration now, so you can easily create this. And he made a whole guide with which sensors you have to acquire and how to put them together. And then on top of that, he also made a 3D printed case. It looks really cool because you have two parts to this, to the Home Assistant Glow. One part is a sensor that you put on the LED that will actually keep track of the pulsing data. And then the other part is the ESP device that will send all the data to Home Assistant. And of course, this device will work out of the box with the energy management feature in Home Assistant. So yeah, if you have an older electricity meter and this works, then this is a great place to go. And this is all open source. So the case, the firmware. So yeah, if you want, you can build your own.
Let me quickly show you what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
If you go to GitHub, you can also see it in action.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah, there are some GIFs. It's collapsed under the photo.
Oh, look at there.
So what do we see, Klaas?
Well, on the left side, you see I'm with a lantern flashing on the sensor, and each time it gestates the flash, it calculates the data, and it flashes a red light, so you know it is measuring the LED.
Yeah, so the baseboard with the ESP also contains an LED so that you know that it is registering the light flashes from your electricity meter. So it's kind of like a debug light, but it shows nicely that like you know something is going on. And so the same thing you see on the left simulated with a flashlight. On the right, the electricity meter is pulsing its LED inside that the small box with the lightning bolt. Yeah, so check it out and use it. It's really cool. Cool. So we have another device. So in I know, Bram, you want to talk about this one?
The Slimmometer?
Yeah.
Sure. It's a ESPHome device also, and it's targeted for the Dutch, Belgian, and Luxembourg. I think they have the standard, the P1 port on the power meters, and you can just plug it in. It gets power from the meter if it's a DSMR5 reader. Otherwise, you have to power it yourself. And it directly reads out the serial port of your meter and sends all the data directly to Home Assistant. So that's really nice, really cool. Just plug it in and connect it, and you will get your data. That's something Marcel Zuidwijk helped us with develop, and you see the link there. That's this GitHub, and I guess we also have a link to his website where you can actually buy the thing.
Wait, let's put Frank in the screen because he has the. Oh, that's myself. Wait, there you go.
Let me put it up. I got one here from Marcel. So I hope it's visible. I should put it in front of me probably. Yeah, there it is. So this is a little 3D printed case, and inside of that I have one that's open. There's a little ESP board with a plug. There you go. So that's inside of here, and it plugs right into your energy meter and reads it out. And if you have a DSMR5 meter, I don't have one, I have a DSMR4, so I'm unlucky, but if you have one of the newer ones, then it will actually power it through the port itself. So you can just plug this thing in and it will just go on Wi-Fi and report it in. So it's ESPHome based. Home Assistant will find it and it will send all the data in. And I believe Marcel is selling these like pre-assembled and stuff as well, right? So you can just buy this little PCB from Marcel. I think they're pretty much reasonable priced, actually.
27 euro 50.
Yeah, I think that's really nice, by the way. In a 3D printed case, and you can just plug it in and you get your energy data. So this works for people from the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg at this point, which is really nice. So it's a really easy and pretty much cheap way to get like your energy data into a Home Assistant, actually.
Yeah, what's very nice about this is that it's all local, right? Both of these products, it's all the data stays local, it doesn't go through the cloud. It literally is like from your electricity meter transported to Home Assistant. We got some questions from people at some point of like, why don't you just, plug a cable into your Raspberry Pi that runs Home Assistant and plug it into your electricity meter? And there's two reasons for it. One is not everybody has their Home Assistant box inside the closet that has your electricity meter. And second is that this is like, it's just, there's so many cables running. So I guess the main thing is just like get it wirelessly. But there's actually also, there is an Ethernet version of not just the Slimmer laser. I think, let me just This one
No,
is
it's not. It's a different kind of product. It doesn't run ESPHome.
it doesn't
It
run
just
ESPHome, so
does the
it's
serial
more
port over
work.
Ethernet.
Yeah, it's some more work, but then you can have an Ethernet version as well. So yeah, the bad news is that the Slim Laser is back ordered. So there was not enough in stock. So Marcel is working on that. And then we're actually also Marcel is working on the next generation. So this one is still based on the ESP8266. We're already experimenting with an ESP32C3, which is a new chip that should work with improv. So it will work the same way as the current version. It will just have a slightly nicer onboarding, hopefully. But that version is not expected for a long couple of months at least.
So I know a lot of Dutch people already have this thing. It's pretty popular, at least in the Dutch Discord. But if you have one of these from Marcel, you might want to run an update so they actually work with the energy integration correctly. We've updated the energy integration last week, and it should now, if you update this thing, it should just work with the new energy stuff.
Yeah, what I think is really nice, and I don't think it's, it wasn't really clear from our blog post today, our announcement, but like we have updated so many parts of not just Home Assistant, but ESPHome to make all of these devices possible and to be able to store this data. And we had to update how the front end generates things, and it's really cool. So yeah, even I think the latest fixes in ESPHome were released 2 weeks ago, and that was like to make it finally fully ready. We initially actually had planned to release energy management last month, but that was just time wise, it became like it was too much, and we decided to postpone it to this today, which was really nice because Matthias started July 18, I think.
12.
12. Yeah,
Yes.
so we have been we actually got some UX support as well, which is great because Bram and I we just usually do something. Nah.
I'm glad we postponed it a month. It was
Yeah,
a
definitely.
good decision.
The first part, the first stuff for the whole energy transitions things we are doing right now, all the dashboard, like the statistics, already started in 0.6. The first parts of that were released in 0.6. Most people didn't notice, but yeah, that's where it all started actually.
Yeah.
It's 2 months ago.
Well, and the Lovelace strategies were probably in the May or
Yeah.
maybe in April we released that. So it's all been, it has been long in the making. Cool. So, anything else about energy? Oh, I think the last thing we might want to talk about is that. So, what we said, we upgraded different parts of Home Assistant to make energy a possibility. And all these different building blocks that we use to make energy a possibility are also building blocks you can use in your own stuff, right? So, I think the one thing, for example, is you can use every energy card in your own Lovelace dashboard. You don't have to use the energy dashboard. So if you feel like our energy dashboard is missing some data, you want to add something else, you can actually just pop in the energy cards into any Lovelace dashboard and it will pull in the data. It will follow your preferences from energy, so you don't have to configure it. And we also included a new widget just for advanced users called like the date picker. So the date picker you normally see in the energy dashboard in the top right of the screen, you can put it as a widget in your Lovelace dashboard. And when you change the date in that widget, it will update all energy cards that are visible on the screen. So that way you can easily build, your own energy dashboard and don't lose any functionality compared to the energy dashboard that comes out of the box. And then if you are a person that likes to make and share dashboards with other users, we actually built this based on a strategy. And a Lovelace strategy is where, based on certain inputs, in our case, the energy preferences, it will build out a dashboard, a Lovelace configuration on the fly, which Lovelace then will render. But of course, this is not limited to energy. This could be like, maybe you want a Apple Home style dashboard automatically generated based on the way the user has their house configured, and a strategy could help with that, creating and sharing that. And you can actually also embed the energy strategy in a view on your own in a Lovelace dashboard. So if you have a Lovelace dashboard with multiple tabs, you could actually have a energy tab and just have that automatically generate all the data that we normally show.
Yeah, you only miss the date picker then on desktop.
Oh,
But we could fix that.
we could fix that. Yeah. Yeah. So and then statistics, I guess. Bram, you want to talk about statistics?
Pooh, that's a big subject. Yeah, sure. So when we started with energy, we realized we wanted to show you not just today, but also the month and even last month, or maybe even the entire year. And the way we've been dealing with history for now is we store every state change in the database. And if you want to show the data for a whole year, that is a lot of data, and that gets really slow and doesn't work well. So we've came up with statistics of long-term statistical data that takes a snapshot of your state changes for 1 hour. So if it's a temperature sensor or a humidity sensor in this case, it will take the mean, min, and max of that hour and stores it in the database. And for an energy meter that always goes up, it will store the sum of that hour. So then we only have one data point for an hour instead of maybe 100 state changes that happened during that hour. So it's a lot less data, a lot easier to graph, and we can store this data for much longer because now the history database is, I don't know what the default retention is.
10 days.
10 days?
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
After 10 days, by default, we clear the state changes from the history table. And with the new long-term statistics, we can keep them forever, as it's a lot less data.
Yeah.
So we use that for the energy integration to show the graphs and to do the calculations and stuff. That's also why it takes some time before the data shows up in your energy dashboard, as we have to calculate that, and that only happens once an hour. But we also created
12 minutes fast, to be exact.
Yeah, 12 minutes past the whole hour. But we also created a new Lovelace card that allows you to use this data. So not just for energy related entities, but also for humidity, temperature. I'm not sure. We don't support all device classes yet.
Not yet.
Not sure which one we all support, but I know temperature is one.
Humidity.
Percentages we support.
Power for energy.
Power,
can you get some really
energy.
nice? Yeah.
Well, it will be expanded in the future. But it allows you to create graphs like the one that's shown on the screen now. That's from Frank's bathroom humidity. And you can see the mean during the day, and you can also see the min and the max. So if you would have a history chart, you would have a lot of spikes probably. And now it's just one smooth flowing graph, but you can still see the minimum and maximums of the day.
What I really
So it's
a
a lot faster to draw this and to get the data and to handle. So you can more easily make graphs for longer periods of time. So you could create one that spends a year or a month of whatever.
Since we added the statistical stuff already in 0.6 and 0.7 of Home Assistant last month, I actually took this card and made this graph for the blog post right now for the release notes, the one you're looking at right now. And by default, it actually renders 30 days. And I click and I saw 30 days of data. I was like, oh, all that data is already recorded past month, so that's cool. And it was blazing fast, even for a month of data. It was just snapped there. And with the old statistics, it would just eat up your browser because of all the data points. You could create. Especially this sensor, for example, does update a lot. And now it's just like, this is just great. I like it.
Yeah. So this is a line graph. You can also choose to do a bar graph, so you get more like the graphs we get, the charts we get in the energy dashboard. So it's nice to see the growth of a sensor. And what else? I think that's it.
Yeah, and so just a small pitch. We have a data science portal for Home Assistant. It's where we, with Home Assistant, we don't hold your data hostage, right? So we don't want to be that the endpoint of your data. Like we pull in from all these places, and that's where it like stops. No, well, with Home Assistant, we want to be a portal from where you can have different integrations built on this like abstracted data. So, for example, of course, like Node-RED works with Home Assistant and works with everything Home Assistant works with. But we also have this for data. So besides having an API to extract the current data, we also have historical data, and now we have statistical data. And all this data, this is stored in a database, a SQL database. And we actually have a data science portal that explains exactly what data we store and what each data point is useful for. So you can check this out. And if you're really like into data science and you want to play more with this, we actually have a Jupyter Notebook add-on that Frank maintains. And Jupyter Notebook is a data science environment, so it makes it easy to, write some Python code to extract some data, run it against your Home Assistant database. And we actually have a getting started notebook in there that will automatically connect to your Home Assistant instance and allows you to already generate like some statistics, some data based on your history data. And this is all explained on the data science portal. So if you've never seen this, go check it out. If you're into data science, definitely check it out. If you build something cool with it, make sure you share with us because we love to see more examples. And I think also moving forward, we will need to put more algorithms or machine learning, doing it locally to learn from your data to make suggestions or make recommendations based on your energy usage, for example. And this is stuff that we want to bring to Home Assistant in the future. But we need, help with this because, we're programmers, we're UX people, we're a lot of things, but we're not all data scientists. So definitely, if you're into that stuff, give it a shot, try out this website, look at your data, and let's connect. Cool.
Where did Frank go?
I don't know. He'll be back. Okay, let's continue with the release notes. I think we've talked about energy now a lot. So this is the news item about Matthias. So Matthias is joining Nabukasa as a designer working full-time on the user experience of Home Assistant. We already announced this a couple of weeks ago on Twitter. He got flooded with bug reports. And
Yeah. A lot of great ideas also. So, yeah.
Matthias, I'm gonna put you front and center, and then maybe you wanna talk about like your plans.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I've been Home Assistant user for now like 3-4 years, and I've seen Home Assistant grow rapidly in a great product. And as a designer, I really wanted to contribute to the product like developers does, and so I started chatting with Bram and Paula, say how can I contribute, and they said to me, hey, people like you, designers, ask these questions quite often, and well, we've got some ideas, but maybe you can help us. So the intention was good, only the connection or the linking pin wasn't there yet. So one of the big parts I'm trying to do is to make it easier for guys like me, like designers, to contribute to Home Assistant. So like making a foundation, setting some documentation on the developers.homeassistant.io. That are some examples. And maybe the thing that works most for designers is, well, give me a design kit with components and let me just design. So that's just one thing I've been working on. Let's try to share my screen. I got all kinds of tips. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, so in this case, you are seeing Figma. Figma is a design tool, and the design tool for, well, it looks similar for, maybe you've heard of Sketch, or maybe you've heard of Adobe, all kind of Adobe programs. In this case, it's Figma. What I love about Figma is the first thing, it's free. So if you're a designer and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can start for free at Figma. It has all the basics and you can start right away. And as you can see, for our home assistant, we have made a design kit. And in this design kit, yeah, there is all the basic things of home assistant. So it's a work in progress yet, but you have to keep in mind that the basics are in. So in this case, it's a lovelace dashboard with all kinds of cards, and these cards are built up with Figma components, just to make sure Figma components aren't the same as like front-end components. If you want to know what the CSS properties are, you can inspect them, but that's maybe next step. And the fun thing is that these are built up with like all kinds of styles that are matched with Home Assistant, the colors, and etc. And here are the basic components. Well, I don't want you to show you everything right now because, well, you want to use Home Assistant and maybe want to design for Home Assistant. And that's why I'm going to show you the next step. And that's I really like about Figma. One thing, it's free, but the second thing, it's got a community. And in this community, you can, well, let me find the search bar. Over here, let's search for Home Assistant. And then you find here the design kit. When you've created a Figma account, you hit this button, duplicate, and then you up to speed. You can start designing. And when you're designing, it will be fun if you share your designs with the community. And if you do that, yeah, that would be awesome, because I think it's one small easy step for designers like me or somebody else, or even Paulus. Paulus used this design kit also a lot in a couple of weeks. And you can make some suggestions with an image, and it's image tells more like 10 words, I think. So that's one thing. Stop screen. So here I'm back again. So one topic to what I want to do is to make it easier for designers to contribute. So with guides, with the design kit, with all kinds of things. But yeah, maybe most important is just make great designs. Well, I've worked with Bram and Paulus recently on the energy dashboard, and yeah, that was fun. For me, my experience, it was blazing fast. So we've got an idea, we chat about it, we made a small mock-up, and the next day, or even the same day, it was already delivered. So that's a really fun part about Home Assistant. It's really fast, and because of that, we can learn rapidly about that. So in this case, we've got a beta. The beta was like last week or 2 weeks ago released.
Week ago.
And we got great feedback from the beta users, and with the feedback, we made some adjustments. Well, quite a lot. So if you run the beta and you see the progress right now, so that's a big difference. So, and that's also a point what I want to invest in is, so there's a great amount of energy in the community, and they want to give feedback, and that's awesome. And what we are working on, and maybe you've seen it in the blog post also, is a, well, let me try to bring that up. It's a share button again. Share screen. That's one. Yeah, okay, awesome. So what we're working on also is like making a research group. Like Paula said, there's a lot of energy and mostly positive in, well, I want to do this, or this could be better, or help me with this. And that's great, but we have the GitHub issues tracker already for that. So I want to recommend that for your ideas. But we're also working on like a user group, and if you sign up for this, you may get an invite for a user testing. So in this case, we got the energy dashboard. Well, it's rapidly fast designed and developed. But maybe if you want to learn more about your experiences or what can be better, join this group. You may get an invite, and we can do a user test, or you can get no, I lost the word. Sorry.
So this, I put the URL in the banner. So if you're really quick, you can screenshot it and type it over. But it's.
I've just submitted it in the chat, so you can just click on it.
That's terrible. Go
to the release notes, and you can also find the link.
Well, I also put it on Twitter later today, so if you follow me, you'll find it.
So, but we're really stoked to have Matthias on board. I think that we've always cared about user experience, but we never really went in depth. A lot of times, also, we take shortcuts because there's just only so many hours in a day, and then if we're also making the UI and then doing it, and sometimes also happens is that like we always were so focused on like building the next feature that what we don't do often is just take a step back and look at the system as a whole and seeing if the goals that we set out to solve are actually still being solved. So I'm really happy that Matthias is going to work on this overview to make sure to see that like the features are aligned. Of course, there's going to be like bugs, usability bugs, these kind of low-hanging fruits. I think the one thing that we really want to like work on is with open source, it's very difficult to create a community around designers. A lot of communities are GitHub driven, which means code, which means we have a lot of engineers. People just want to create code. We got some people that will work on like UI stuff, but it's because they are writing the HTML, writing the JavaScript, and not like it's difficult because a lot of it is volunteer based, and if we are as a designer, you're kind of just coming out with a mock-up and saying build this, right? And so it needs to be some authority, it needs to be and then of course the other people have to build this, and so they also need to be motivated, and so that's kind of a balance power struggle sometimes, where I think it's difficult for designers to feel welcome and to actually be included in the process. So where we see this go is that with this design kit and the other infrastructure that Matthias is building out, including like we have a devs UX channel, for example, now where we talk about like the development of user experience, is that we want to create a place where designers feel welcome, they will feel empowered, and we also want to kind of change the process where, well, maybe there's going to be a lot of issues open, for example, with small mock-ups of how a small feature can be improved from like where it currently stands, how it should look like. And if like designers can build those small mock-ups because they saw it, then that will be great. And like other people that do like drive-by contributions could like pick it up, easily fix it, and that way we can all collaborate. And I think that for a lot of open source projects, getting UX involved has been a big struggle, and it's something that I'm interested in. It's something that Matthias is interested in, and like we're gonna build it out. We're gonna invest in it, and we're gonna see how far we go. And I think we will be successful. I have no doubt. It's just the question is how successful.
Yeah, and probably you have to focus on some specific topics like I've already seen some great ideas on Twitter and also in the Google form about like accessibility. That's a big topic, or yeah, all kind of. So I don't want to get your hopes up high that I can fix all things for you guys, but I'm hoping to focus on some big things, and yeah, let's work together.
I hear you got some work to do, Bram.
Well, the idea is that it's not just Bram. The idea is the
No, true.
big. Well, we see a few times the question popping up what kind of tool it was. So I'm just gonna put it in the. It's called Figma, but of course all our pronunciations are not very nice. So, or not nice. They might sound off. So here, this is it, Figma with an F.
Figma.
Yeah, and that's it's cool. It's kind of revolutionizing how UX is being done because it's a UX prototype tool combined with real-time collaboration. So you can have multiple cursors, like you see where the other people in the file are working on, and so it works really well.
It's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like Google Docs when you're working together, and in this case, you're working together on the same mockup. Yeah, so it's also really fun to do.
Yeah. What else is in this is new? Otto Winter, which is he's the founder of Home Assistant. He has joined
Home Assistant?
Home Assistant? No way.
Otto
I thought that was you.
ESPHome.
Man, I was misinformed.
He is joining Nabucasa for the summer to help work on ESPHome and make it better. So Nabucasa acquired ESPHome earlier this year, and we're continuing investing in it. ESPHome is a software to configure ESP8266, ESP32 microcontrollers, and whatever sensors or whatever components you have connected to these ESP devices, they will be instantly available inside Home Assistant, and they become part of your home. So you can already saw today with energy management, both products that we launched today together with the dashboards were based on ESPHome, because it makes it so easy for users to use these projects, update these projects, and yeah, so that's it's great. Otto started this project back in the days, and he's on a summer holiday from school, or from university, and so he's joining Nabucasa to help further improve ESPHome. We got some cool things on the horizon that he's working on, so yeah, stay tuned on that. Bum, bum, bum.
Are we going to continue on release notes? Like, I'm really stoked about one thing, and that's the sidebar view. I'm really thinking that a lot of people will actually love and use that one. Yes.
Bram, you want to explain what it is?
Sure. So we have views in Home Assistant for a while. First, it was just the default view, and then we got a panel mode. And since a while, the default view is the different columns that cards are placed in based on their height. And the panel view, you get one card full size. So your entire screen is one card. And a while back, I'm not sure how long, I think more than a year ago, we added support for custom views and other types of views, but we never added one to core.
Yeah. Well, so we added this feature because there was this person who shall not be named. We don't want to publicly shame him, but he was working on drag and drop, and that's why we added this.
I didn't want to say that.
Oh, guys, come on!
I didn't want to say that.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's possible to create custom views, and a view basically determines how the cards are placed inside a view. So the layout basically. So for the energy dashboard, we had a design from Matthias, and it didn't match our current views, so we created a new one. So this is the sidebar view, and the sidebar view has 2 columns on desktop. On mobile, it's one. A white one on the left, and a smaller one on the right. And the left one will grow if your screen goes bigger. So it's perfectly suitable for things like charts, graphs, maps, iframes, I don't know, pictures, floor plans,
Energy dashboards.
energy dashboards. And on the right side, you can add entity cards, buttons, sensor cards, gauge, whatever you want. But it's a nice new layout, and I think it will suit a lot of use cases. So that's
we
pretty cool.
this is not part of the UI yet.
It is.
It is the UI editor.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude. Can you show it, Frank?
Uh,
Or I can also show it.
I don't think I've kept this view actually.
I can.
I think I made.
I can.
No,
show
I
you.
destroyed it. I made this view, the screenshot purely for the blog, and then I threw it out. Like this is like it's called bathroom even. It's not.
so while Bram is getting ready, one of the really cool things that oh, he's not ready yet. I'm just putting
Oh yeah.
Oh. So one of the really exciting things about the sidebar view is that you order it in your Lovelace configuration in a specific order, but you can then per card say this should go in the sidebar, this should be in the main bar. But when you only go to a narrow mode where you only have a single column, that order in which you initially specified in your configuration, it will be merged and shown like that. So if you have in your sidebar one card that is above the graph and one card that's below the graph, of course in the desktop view, the 2 sidebar cards will be shown on the right. But once you go on your mobile phone, it will have one card above the graph and one card below. So for example, we use this for energy to make sure that the day picker is always shown above the graph, while energy distribution, like the energy usage is still pretty high on the top.
Yeah, the energy distribution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just added a card, a button card, and by default it is added in the main column, the big column. You can see there's a arrow here, and I can click that, and then it will move to the side column. And also for a view, so you can edit it and you can select what type of view you want to use. So if you get the default or the sidebar, you can just change that from the UI. You can also change it back to there. And if I make my screen smaller, you can see that the distribution card stays on top. That was first in the sidebar. And the button card is all the way at the bottom.
Yeah. And this is actually also a good example of having an energy card be part of your Lovelace dashboard. Bram, do you want to add real quick a energy date picker?
Sure. I'm just not sure what it's called. Energy.
Let me.
Energy dash date dash picker.
No selector. I don't know. What's it
Date
called?
card. No.
Energy dash date dash selection.
Selection.
Yeah, I know who came up with that.
There it is. So I'll move that to the sidebar, and then I'll move it up. And this is a bit weird because if I move it up now, it doesn't actually go up because it's actually moving up based on the cards in the main column. Now it's all the way up. So if I now change the date, you will see this card will actually change the
And so
data.
this is something that we actually haven't actually done before, but multiple cards are linked to the same data source. So the top card will control the data source, the period, while the energy card is consuming, the distribution card is consuming that data.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I can just add any energy card.
Use trap. Yeah.
Yeah. Place it a little higher. So if I changed it, you will see that both this graph and this card update if I change the date.
And as you can see, our statistics, the loading from the backend is blazing fast, right? Because this is like real time fetching new data, and it's just boom, it's there.
This is a local instance, not entirely fair, but it is blazing fast.
It's blazing fast.
Yeah, true.
I already
So if you want your power consumption, this is a statistic card for power consumption. So if people like to see power consumption instead of only energy, you can actually combine the energy with power cards and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I've already seen some custom designs for the. I've seen a complete copy of the energy dashboard with some added additional graphs already on Twitter. I think that's really cool. You can just really, if you do not totally 100% like the energy dashboard, you can create your own and add some additional data to it.
Yeah. And then some people have been asking, can we see different, just besides a day, can we see like week or month? And that's coming. That was just something that we didn't have time to add anymore. So I think that once we go to a week view or a month view, we don't want to have it broken down by hours anymore. Maybe we want to, like, for a month view, you want to just have 1 bar per day, for example, and not 24 bars per day. So we needed to add some more functionality to it for ourselves. So we couldn't make it for this release, but that's definitely something on the horizon.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I could see you just working on a wall tablet, like with a big, I don't know, picture frame or an album art for music that's playing with some controls on the side. That would be beautiful.
I mean, we've seen so many cool sidebar views in the community highlights.
Yeah,
That's one of the things. Maybe you've noticed that they are not happening anymore. We used to have weekly community highlights for the last 20 weeks. That because that was the duration of class's internship.
yeah.
And now that we haven't really figured out a way. It takes a couple of hours to make a good community highlights, and it's just there's only so many hours in a day, and we haven't been able to find a single person or a group of people or a system that we can like create this again. So it's definitely something on the that is kind of in the back of our minds, but it's not there yet. But yeah, we saw a lot of sidebar views there too.
Yep.
Daniel, are there any other ideas for energy you think we should add?
I would like to see like temperature in the same graph, like at least in the Scandinavian, but like heating is very important for like what you use most energy on. Also the energy price, to see that in the same graphs.
Mm,
Like if you're an hourly price that we have in the Scandinavian, you know the price for the next day. I know the price each hour tomorrow. So to show that and be able to do automations based on that would be quite useful.
that's really nice. How does so is it each hour that the price changes?
Yes. But you know them up to 36 hours ahead.
Okay.
And also, if you have solar, I guess the cloudiness, like to see what affects your production.
Right. Well, that was actually interesting because I was discussing cloud coverage with Bram, and he said my production graph will look exactly the same like the cloud coverage
Yeah,
graph.
yeah,
But you know,
yeah,
I really like the temperature one. I know that I talked to some people who said, well, if we want to do temperature, then I want to have my gas on it too, right? Because a lot of houses in Holland are still powered by natural
yeah.
gas.
And I think that's the same in Germany.
Yeah. It's actually interesting. I think that in Germany they're trying to move more people to gas, and in Holland they're trying to get people off gas.
Yeah, it's,
Yep.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Um,
We actually deliver the gas to Germany mostly, so that's interesting.
yeah. So yeah, no, I think that that's a good point. Having like the, you know, I think some kind of like heating, cooling like view, right? Because I think that you know, especially you know, my parents they live in the Netherlands. The summers have been getting hotter and hotter, and then you know now they had an air conditioning installed. And so this is of course going to be visible on their energy usage. So I think it definitely helps to uh, see the impact of these kind of things. I think also another recommendation or something that like somebody said that we should look into, and it doesn't really work if you have solar panels, but to try to determine the baseline usage of your home when you're not using anything. So if you don't have solar panels, I think this person recommended taking like the top 95% or like the lowest 95, the lowest 5%, like that's like the line of basically that is your baseline. So if you don't use anything in the house, that's it. And
Why
that
wouldn't that work with solar panels? We get the usage of your house, whether it comes from solar panels or from the grid.
I have
I
it.
guess, yeah, I guess we can calculate it.
I got it up from my tone, actually. I do have warnings like, hey, your base usage is too high or too low. Actually, it's too high in my case, always.
How does it calculate like too high?
In case of tone, it actually like you put in data of what type of home you have, what year it's built in, how many people live in it, and then because of all the other customers giving that same data, it will actually know what the average is. And if you're above average, then well, you're
Right.
using too much.
Yeah. But I mean,
But if everybody like pulls it down, then somebody has to have like the
right. But then
most,
you need
right?
to have like, you know, there's so many variables. Like you work from home, so obviously, you know, that's where a lot of stuff comes in, or like a lot of power is being used, and yeah. But yeah, so baseline would be really nice to have.
What I really like about my tone, for example, it will actually tell me in the night if I left things on or if things are different than the last nights before. So the baseline changed overnight. Something is off. Like something is not like it's supposed to be. Like you normally use this, but you used 50 watts more on average as a baseline this whole night. So you left something on or something. Like it gives that kind of notifications. It's kind of interesting actually.
But then how the challenge is that if you're still awake, then that's why maybe you're using more energy. And when you're asleep, you don't have time to read your notifications.
No, so you wake up in the morning and it's too late. That's true.
And maybe your dishwasher was turned on because the energy price was really low.
No, because I have solar, so I do my dishwashing during the day.
Mm.
Also, a nicer view for real-time data, like the P1 meters gives 1 second or 2 seconds updates of all power data, and to show that in the energy view in a graph or yeah, some nice.
Yeah, we have. I mean, that's very true. Right now, we have completely ignored all the power sensors, and we've only focused on energy sensors. And the main reason for this was that it's just it is the for long-term statistics, that's kilowatt hour or energy is the way to go. Power shows you what's being used right now, but it's not power is not something that you kind of just sum up and then you know how much you use in that hour. You always need to know over what period it was being measured. And so kilowatt hour is our main unit or main measurement that we want to base it upon. But you're right that the current flow is also very interesting. So that would kind of, the way we have our distribution card right now, there actually also already as custom cards available before our release today, where they do similar view like this, but then with the current power. So of your current solar, how much is going to your home, and stuff like this. And then if you turn on the AC, you can actually see also a spike because it's current power usage. If the fridge turns on, freezer, you can see that instantly reflected. That's something we don't have now, but I think that although those pieces of data are interesting, especially if you're monitoring individual devices, I think that for the long term, the hourly kilowatt hour that's being used is more important. But yeah, we definitely want to add power, but it's the problem with power is that we cannot generate statistics for it, because that's the whole idea, is that you don't have statistics, but you have the individual usage. So we'll have to see how we're gonna do that. Maybe just the last 10 days.
Power is not that interesting in my opinion, right? It could tell you something about right now, but it doesn't tell you anything about what you've used or going to use. That's I've seen this happening a couple of times today as well. People are generally sometimes confused about power versus energy. It's like I think we explained on the website, like the speed of your car. Like you can drive 200 miles an hour. How much distance did I cover? Like nothing. It's just how fast you could go versus the distance you've traveled. So this is the power you're using versus how much energy you've actually consumed, right? So that's the same difference. And I don't think power, it's nice to know something is going on now, and it could be really helpful to tell if your dishwasher is running or your washing machine is done. Those kinds of notifications can be really helpful, but in general, it doesn't tell you anything about your actual consumption.
Yeah. Actually, one thing that we had thought of, but we haven't implemented yet, is we want to, go deeper into cost exploring. So right now our cost is very basic what we calculate, but for example, in the P1 reader, the one that Frank has, we know which two tariffs, what the prices he pays for these tariffs and when they start and when they don't. So we could have a cost simulator, for example, say, hey, if you would insert these tariffs or these daily cost, because you want to change energy provider or you want to add solar, maybe we can simulate that and see what the impact is going to be on your energy bill, for example. Yeah. All right. Let me see what else we have in the release notes. Or is there anything still from energy that we're missing? Any ideas
No, I think the one thing for energy that I might want to tell people is that there are a lot of questions. Why can't I add my power meter? Why can't I add my solar system? Why can't I add this device I have? There are a lot of things already implemented and prepared in the last months for this, right? And the most popular integrations and the biggest ones all got support for these energy dashboard features, but there's still many to do. So it's quite possible that your solar system, for example, doesn't have support for the energy dashboard yet. We're working on this, and if yours doesn't have this, please report an issue so we can take care of it and ensure that everything gets added, right? And this is the first iteration of this release. This is the first time we're doing this kinds of stuff. There's a lot of stuff coming. Keep the ideas going and be patient. This is a lot of work, and a lot of work has already gone into this. But no, moving forward, this is going to be better.
Yeah. So this is actually, I put up this is a help page that we link from the energy dashboard, also in case you miss your statistics. When you don't see your entity listed, it means that the entity is not correctly configured if it is supposed to be there by the integration. So that's an issue. Make sure you report those issues so we can, like Frank said, we can fix them. And we've been fixing a lot of them, and so just expect more and more of this data to be pulled in over time. Boom, boom. Well, you can see my browser real-time rendering this. Sidebar view we discussed. Yeah, so we have a new needle mode for the gouge card, and this is a Lovelace thing. This is also something we're using in the energy dashboard. And basically, you can now the old card used to have the color indicate how much percentage was filled, and that color would change based on like how much percentage it was. Now in this new mode, it will draw the whole bar with like different colors based on like what that value implies, and then a needle will move and show you where the current value is. So this is a slightly different way of representing like similar data, and it's a nice touch. This one is Thomas Loven contributed this one, and it's really cool. So, and it animates when the value changes, which I think is just such a nice touch. Currency, you can set your currency now in the settings. It's only used right now for energy, but it's something that we initially added it to energy, and then we realized like, no, this is your currency. It's also part of onboarding. It will be automatically detected if you use the auto detect button. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. We're just gonna show it in the UI like that. Anyone want to talk about sirens?
It's a noisemaker. Like, it makes noise. No, it's kind of cool. It's in there, right? But it is a bit of a niche thing. I have seen a request from Saudi Arabia to add it to ESPHome. I think that makes sense. Like if you have like a custom made siren, I don't see many sirens in general. Like I have one on my alarm system, but I cannot control it. So, but it's still, I think it's a cool thing. It's more common than.
I think the Z-Wave doorbells allow you to simulate a doorbell press, for example.
Yeah.
So that's something. And
well, that's
now
the reason.
Like a party alarm.
Well, that's the reason I would like it for. I have like the ESPHome doorbell. I believe if you're interested in Marcel's slimmer laser meter thing, he has a doorbell thingy on ESPHome too. Like I would for ESPHome, this would be great. I would add my doorbell as a siren. Make a lot more sense than the switch, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, the chime itself, right? So yeah.
Locking, unlocking jam, new lock modes. It helps with our integrations that we like. When we talk to HomeKit or Alexa or Google, then we can represent the lock more accurately. It's actually like the whole jammed one. There's two. I mean, if you ever go buy a smart lock, there's two types of smart locks. There's one that has a small engine in it, and the engine will move the pin in and out of the outside of the door to actually lock it and unlock it. And there's one where it will just make it available so that the user can actually turn itself manually move the lock. And the one where an engine uses it, it's very fragile in that if your door is not exactly lined up, if the door is not perfectly closed, it will not be able to lock and then it will be jammed. So if you're gonna buy a smart lock, don't buy the ones that move the lock themselves. Buy the ones where the user has to it allows locking and unlocking without a key when you enable it. But yeah, we support Jam now for the people that do have a door lock that has an engine in it. Automations, scripts, templates. Frank, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. There are two little things added, or little depends on your use case, I guess. But if you there's now a this variable, so if an automation triggers or a script triggers, you have now a this variable available, which is actually the state object of the script or automation that is triggered. So you can see, you can instantly access this dot last triggered to see when this automation previously triggered, which can be helpful in I don't know, conditions, or maybe in templating, or whatever you can think of to do. I believe the original author, RTS, who contributed this, has a use case for blueprints to use the name of the automation in some alerting. But well, at least you can instantly add the automation itself that is running, and that's kind of nice. Then added by Raman, who actually normally does a lot of Z-Wave stuff. He added some additional template methods to work with device IDs. If you write automations manually in YAML and you ever try to use device IDs, you know that you have to look for them and find them somewhere in the dashboard, or use the automation editor and then store and see what the ID is. So that's kind of like annoying at times. So we now have little methods that you can say, hey, give me the device ID that belongs where this entity does belong to. So you can actually use your entity ID to get the device ID. And besides that, you can now actually get information of a device. For example, who was the manufacturer and the model or the software version. The things you see when you go to the device in Home Assistant in the UI, you get a little block in the top left with some information about the device. Well, that data you can now access in your automations and scripts as well. So a couple of little functions that add some advanced features to templating this release that might be helpful if you're more into the advanced stuff. So I really like this little addition to have something for these group of people that are interested in this as well. Really cool additions.
So talking about Raman, I think we should actually. So Z-Wave.js has been progressing really, really nicely. The Siren integration actually was, I think, the biggest missing piece to be able to correctly support all the different Z-Wave device types. And I think the last bits is, we have device actions and conditions and triggers now. And I think, we have raw command class support, because that was like basically how Z-Wave just anything that doesn't fit in the spec, they just kind of make available as raw commands. Even that works now with Home Assistant. Meter devices are supported. So yeah, Z-Wave.js is pretty mature now. I think the only thing that we are looking into is seeing if we can provide a migration path. So, we originally had Z-Wave, then we worked for like almost a year on Open Z-Wave, realized that Open Z-Wave server, realized that was a dead end, and then we switched to Z-Wave.js, which we have been working on this whole year actually. And I think at this point, what we're saying now, we already deprecated the old Z-Wave integration. It's never going to get any updates anymore. The Open Z-Wave one, we never promoted to stable. So really, if you're starting today, use Z-Wave.js. I think the documentation should make that clear. If you are on Z-Wave, you haven't made a jump yet to Z-Wave.js, definitely consider it. It's like faster, it works better, more stable, all that stuff. And it's where all the love is going to go, all the updates.
I know some people are waiting for the migration path to happen, but as someone who actually used all three of the integration types, and knowing where Z-Wave.js is right now, like, I don't know, like wake up early Saturday morning or Sunday morning and spend a couple of hours just migrating, even the hard way. It is worth it. Yeah.
And actually, the Z-Wave stores all the pairing information on the stick. So actually, you're not repairing any devices. I think the main thing can be that entity IDs will change. So yeah. Oh, and I see Charles, one of the Z-Wave.js people work on Z-Wave.js. Heal node and remove filled node are now also available in the user interface for Z-Wave.js. So that the Z-Wave.js panel is also nicely progressing.
Yeah, that's mainly done by Charles, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and Roman is also in the chat, I see.
Oh, yeah.
He also says migration path is not me. I mean, I know Martin has looked into migration from Z-Wave to Open Z-Wave, so we're gonna see if we can reuse parts of those logic. Cool. Let's see other noteworthy changes. Oh yeah, the Z-Wave.js light transitions. It's sometimes a feature gets added where you're like, oh, that didn't work. So yeah, one of these was light transitions for Z-Wave. So
I never noticed.
yeah. Yeah.
And there are many features. I think what's interesting is Sonos. If you're using Sonos and you have ever tried to like group and ungroup and save state, restore state, do an announcement, like there have been some changes this release in making that more robust to restore the states. So if you've ever been frustrated by that, you might give that another shot now because that has been improved. So I think that is a really a noteworthy change in this release.
Yeah, Modbus got a lot of upgrades. I see typo here actually. So I'm just highlighting this to the whole world now, but
Thank you. My bad. Sorry.
yeah, I mean this is these a lot of them speak for themselves. The HomeKit automatically recreating TVs is nice, so you make it stays in sync. Yeah, car. We have a new car, Renault. That's pretty cool. This one has been open for like, when was the PR open? Like last year or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes it's, we have a lot of open pull requests and we work hard on trying to go through all of them and each of them gets attention. But it's sometimes big ones, and this one was a big one. It can take a while. And so luckily Frank brought it up on the radar again because I wouldn't have found it. And so then, yeah, we were able to get it in. That's good. Talking about integrations, Tuya. So we are still working with Tuya, the company Tuya. They have a team. They're working on a integration for Home Assistant. It is already available as a custom component, but we're working with them on bringing it into Home Assistant. It will replace the old Tuya integration because that API is going to stop working. And yeah, I mean, Tuya they're active. They have like a roadmap. Local support is on the roadmap. The local support still will require a authentication through the cloud, but then you get a token and all communication will be local. So that's really nice. If we get it in, right now we're still working with them, of course. But I'm optimistic that we can get this integration merged, which will be really cool because I think when that happens, Tuya is the biggest company at that point that has worked on Home Assistant. So of course we've had collaborated and worked with smaller companies, but I mean Tuya is I don't know what their revenue is, but they are probably more than $1 billion a year. So you don't normally see their brand themselves because they do a lot of white labeling, like Kruidvat in the Netherlands or Lidl or whatever.
Hema.
Hema.
Action.
Places. So getting that into Home Assistant will be really good, and getting it done by them, right? I think is even better.
I think Flipper is cool. It's like a for a swimming pool kind of integration that's added this release. Like you can, it's a floating device or something, and that measures all kinds of like state of your pool.
That's cool.
That's cool. It's just like I don't have a pool, but
Yeah, I need a pool
I have
first.
one. Yeah, so I think I buy a flipper and then say I need a pool now. But no, it's just
Then you
really
get an
hard.
inflatable pool in your backyard. There you go.
There you go. And you have to put chlorine in it. No, but it's just if you have a pool, I think it's really cool to have like a little floating device there, which is then called Flipper, and gives you all that information on how to treat your pool. We had a pool when I grew up, so I know what it is to maintain a pool, and actually having something there that just tells me that at the time that would have been amazing.
Yeah. This list is actually nice. These are the new platforms. You can actually see that a lot of we used to have the energy usage as part of attributes of the Switch platform. You can see already a lot of people have worked on migrating those to sensors so they can be used inside the energy management feature. And I mean, this kind of shows, and it's not clear also from the blog post, but I think that like I don't know, 20, 30 people, if not more, have worked on energy management over the 6 months of like upgrading different integrations, verifying test work, going around in the beta channel, testing new energy management, data input, so many stuff. So
We have fixed a record number of changes this beta version. Everyone that have tested the beta, thank you so much. It was great.
yeah. If you want to try the beta and you're using a Home Assistant operating system, you can click on the supervisor panel, you go to system, and then you click on join beta. And then the next time a beta comes around, it will offer you as an update. Finally, some new integrations to set up from the UI. CO2 signal, Daniel, that's the one the one that powers our energy management fossil fuel usage of the grid. Honeywell is in. Well, one of the many Honeywell. Honeywell has a bunch of different APIs. So this one is for the US. Notifications for Android TV, Switcher, Yale. So yeah, that's kind of it. This release, man. I feel like it doesn't happen often that we speak almost 2 hours just about the release. Right? I feel like a lot of times we have other conversations, but today is just
It is a big one, right? There's so much in it, and what I like about it, like, it's not just the energy panel; it's everything that comes with it, right? Everything that's created for energy that can actually be used for other things, and like the flow of changes it created, like new sensors to all those integrations, and wow, it's so much. I think I said it like 3 releases, like this is a big one coming. This is the big one. It is.
yeah. So now we can just kick back and relax, and then I think I mean right now there's no instead of working on new big features, we were gonna work on refinement. So you know that's also something that like Matthias is gonna focus on, and yeah. So
Yeah.
look at the current features, look what's missing, adding that kind of stuff.
I'm going to install power metering devices this week. That's my goal.
Me
That's good.
too.
I still have these like WLED stuff on my desk from Intermittent Tech. The 1 p.m. Those are nice.
Yeah, I got a bunch on route as well. I hope to get a package tomorrow.
Yeah, I got a drawer full of Shellys I still have to install.
Actually, I don't know. Did I show it last? No, I wasn't there on the last release. I got these. These are like it's Xiaomi. These are Bluetooth temperature humidity sensors with a small screen that show also the temperature humidity. I actually have one here. They look like this. But what's cool about them is that they use Bluetooth and that there's a flaw in the firmware. So you can actually upload your own custom firmware to it, and Chrome and Edge and other browsers that are based on Chromium, they have web Bluetooth. So you can actually there's a website. You power these devices on, and that website will connect to your thermostat, install custom firmware on it, and then that device will broadcast the temperature humidity to ESPHome, to an ESP32 running ESPHome, and then you get it in Home Assistant. So I think that's really, really cool.
Nice. I ordered those too. I still have to install them.
Yeah, well, it's been on my desk for a little too long, but it's definitely coming out one day.
But is
One
it
day.
read only, or is it possible to like set your like have a sensor value that you could show on the display?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you have full control over the display because
Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh.
that would be really nice. And I mean, $5, right? It's like,
Well, we have Intermed Tech here, so he should probably know. He actually published some stuff on it, I believe. So
right. Well, yeah, he says that somebody's been watching my channel. Now I have to admit, I didn't watch his channel, but it's on my his video is on my to-do list though to watch. But that's why I haven't done anything with it. That's there on my desk. Yeah.
And I ordered them because you said it was cool and it worked well, and
Yeah, well,
that's how it
and
often
you
goes,
haven't
right?
done it yet.
no, but well, Jesse,
So you don't even know if it works.
no, Jesse told me. Jesse is the person who works full time on ESPHome. So he told me, and then I told you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have that like oh that's cool, I ordered that, and then you have a desk full of like those little boxes that are unused?
Yes.
Yeah, but people are asking me to share the model, and I cannot because the packaging is in Chinese.
Something that looks like a little house and then some.
Bluetooth thermostat.
I don't even know where they are. Oh, here they are.
Cool.
Yeah, it has a 2 on the end.
Right.
Did I order the right one? Is this the one?
Yeah, I also have it too. Yeah, I have too. But I mean, it kind of goes against my own rules where I try to not buy something new until I have played with the previous thing I've bought. That way, it kind of also forces me to play with things so I can buy new things. But yeah, I still have to do NWLED and these things.
WLED's coming along nicely, by the way. Christian is doing a great job there.
Yes. Okay, here somebody has. It's the Xiaomi Smart Bluetooth thermometer, wireless electric digital hygrometer thermometer.
Unless you go on the Dutch AliExpress that is translated by some translating machine. In that case, it's probably something that doesn't match that at all.
Yeah, intermittent tech. This is make a quick screenshot. LYW, whatever. Read it. But cool. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope that everybody is gonna enjoy our new energy management. If you have some feedback, make sure you let us know on Discord or on GitHub issues. If you want to stay in the loop of our release parties, make sure if you're YouTube, you hit that bell. I think.
Subscribe, like, and hit the bell.
Oh yeah, like, and if you're on Twitter, follow us. If you're on Facebook, follow us. And yeah, stay tuned. Even though we don't have any big features planned, there's definitely cool stuff coming down the pipeline. And yeah, that's it, I guess. I hope everybody had a good time, and we'll see everybody next month.
And before you go to the release notes, and then in the section of Matthias, there's a link for the Google form, and sign up for that group for Matthias.
Yeah,
It's out there.
it will be good. Yeah.
And if you're a designer, make sure you check out Dev's UX channel on our Discord server. If you're a data scientist, check out data.homeassistant.io.
More URLs, come on. And Daniel, thank you for helping out this release, by the way, and with all the energy stuff. That's amazing. I've been watching it on the sidelines, but you've been there a lot. So thank you.
It's been nice to be part of it.
Cool. All right. Bye.